new progress go? Man, why am I underneath all the emails, calls, paperwork, and stuff? More stuff. Is there an end to this? I'm a prisoner of my own machine.
Sound familiar? Well, it's time to get out of all that stuff and get your life back with the VIP Coach. No Hype Allowed. Hosted by Executive Performance Coach John Davidson and HighLevelPerformance.com. Here's your host, JD.
Okay. Guess who? Guess who? It's the VIP Coach. We're here in March. It's 2008. It's a great time to be an entrepreneur, isn't it? All those opportunities out there, you just see them right in front of you, and you wish you could get to them all. You just can't seem to get to them. You go through life, you get really good at what you do, you fire the boss, you go out into the marketplace and you ask for checks, and then those checks start to come in, and man, you're starting to get experienced, and then over a period of time, something hits, like a powder keg bomb goes off, and suddenly you find yourself confused and isolated, and everything is so complex. This is typically, in the modern age, the life of a high-performing, growth-oriented entrepreneur. And hopefully this is the listener that you are to some degree, or you're about to be there, maybe you're there now. You feel that you don't have anybody to talk to, and you have all kinds of things that you want to talk about. You can't go to a therapist because they don't have a business perspective, right? And let alone, no one will tell you the truth, right? Because if your staff ever faced you, they might jeopardize their security. Hey, if your wife ever faced you, they might jeopardize their security. If your friends face you, they might think that you're going to get confrontational with them. So who the heck tells you what is going on? That's right. It's not a book. It's not a tape. It's not a friend. It's not a spouse. It's not an employee. It's not a pet. It's not a dog. It's a coach. That's why we're here, is to help you remove the isolation. It's really lonely at the top, man. I hear it all week long. JD, I love what we do. I love our coaching because I have somebody to talk to. I feel a sense of camaraderie. And I think that's a real sign of maturity for these entrepreneurs. You see, getting to simplicity is really about shuffling all the stupid ambition that you had as you came up to this threshold. You got really good at something. You go out into the world, you do it better than the boss, you had an entrepreneurial seizure, and all of that rugged individualism, it's just ticking like a time bomb, and you reach this parabolic arch in your career where you reach this threshold and it's just not going to work anymore, and you're confused. You know what you're confused about? You're confused because all the stuff that's got you, all the reactionary time that you're spending of reacting and responding and putting out fires and playing mechanic, all of that stuff that's coming at you, it's confusing. You know why? Because technology is moving so fast, you can't learn it fast enough to stay ahead. You got to learn how to use your technology. I'll bet you use 30% of the capacity of your software. You use 30% of Outlook. You use 30% of Microsoft Word. Why? Because you feel like you never have the time to really learn the full capabilities of it. You're just confused. Everything is so in reaction, you can't get to it. Here's the other part of it, the commoditization trap. You've fallen into being invisible. Yes. I know you. What's happened is everything's gotten so busy that the world has forgotten about you. No one can see the opportunity of you, right? You got into business to have people see the opportunity of you. You saw that you were able to erect a matchless skill. You went out there with your own personal fingerprint. You put it in the centerpiece of your business. It authenticated you, and then guess what? You got busy. You started to grow. Your employees started to grow. Things got complex. Phone calls, emails, stuff, paperwork, all those things. And at the end of the day, invisibility, complexity, confusion, frustration, isolation, all of those things. Have I taken you into the rat's nest? Isn't that the 40-foot hole? That is it. No Hype Allowed is a lifeline. We throw you a 40-foot lifeline for a 40-foot hole. We understand the vocabulary. We understand the shoes that you walk in. I've been coaching entrepreneurs for the last 10 years. We've had over 315 cases. We have 45 coaching clients in the program. And this describes them, when they got started with us, to a T. So what is today's show going to be about? Man, there's so much neat stuff going on in the world right now. But I think it's important to talk about what you do outside of work. although we talk about productivity and we talk about money and all those cool things, and granted, it's great to go after all that stuff, success in life is not a function of just succeeding in business. Success in life is a function of succeeding outside business. But we've gotten so caught up as if we're prisoner of our own machine. All of these technologies are glued to us constantly. We go to the movie theater with our cell phone. We take the laptop on the ski trip. We go to all these places, and our business never leaves. It's like this huge dark cloud that's always over us. We're always thinking about it, and it's this consumption. So what I want to talk to you about is a technique. I want to talk to you about a technique blocking out what we call lifetime. It's been said there are 3 kinds of time for entrepreneurs. And before I describe this to you, these 3 kinds of time are built on quality time, not quantity time. If you're in the quantity time economy, essentially what's going to happen is you're going to fall suffering to the rest of everybody out there. You have no unfair advantages. See, the entrepreneur is gifted because he has unfair advantages. One of the most unfair advantages is his use of time. No one's telling you where to be when. You are truly employed by yourself. You're governed by your opportunities and your work and goals, not time. Your economy of means is different. You get paid by relationships. You get paid by results. And whether it takes you a half hour, an hour, a minute, or a second, the bottom line is either you get a result or you don't. It's not about the time. So see the difference here. In describing 3 types of time, we have to understand that the quality model is essential in an achievement economy. The quantity model, everybody has 24 hours in a day. We're all equal to that. But in a quality model, it's about what choices you're making with the time that you have. And when you look at that, you begin to say, well, wait a minute. How about quality of preparation? How about quality of production? How about quality of relationships? How about quality of the priorities that I'm focusing on? The quality of my time outside work, the quality of my time on my health. You begin to look at the quality, not the quantity. And it's important to get that across. If you see that, then you understand that your economy of means is you eat what you kill. You go out there in the world and you eat what you kill. You are responsible for your own security. You made a decision that you would only procure opportunity by first providing value. One of the qualities of an entrepreneur in his use of time is the more he's entitled to things, well, the less you're tending to contribute. You can't afford to have an entitlement attitude. It's not affordable in the economy that you're in, right? You make a contribution. It's all about delivering value. Now, there are 3 kinds of time: maintenance time, high performance time, and lifetime. Now, I won't get into high performance time and maintenance time. I want to talk to you about lifetime. And most entrepreneurs, they feel this discomfort and guilt when they're away from work. I'm sure you can relate to that. So for some, even the thought of being out of touch with their office is enough to trigger anxiety. Yet real, rejuvenating time, free time, is essential, not only to life balance, but to greater productivity and creativity in your business. Now, notice what I just said. It's necessary to creativity and productivity in your business. That's quality time. That's quality time. Now, there are many reasons why the entrepreneurs find it tough to take relaxing free time away from their business, and most of them come down to one simple principle. They have to justify it. They have to justify it. And these commonly held beliefs that they have contribute to the need to justify taking time off. So one of those is the notion that, well, the purpose of life is work. And that leads to the attitude that all time spent not working is essentially inferior. Another one is the attitude that you need to work to the point of exhaustion. And only when then you feel exhausted, you deserve free time. According to that line of thought, okay, let's look at that. Free time then is only acceptable when fatigue becomes overwhelming. Well, what if we looked at it this way? See, free time, that doesn't need any justification. That justification idea in which the free time is earned for long, hard work is particularly seductive. But people who work for long periods without a break, you know what happens? They experience a diminishing return. And these unbroken stretches of work come at a great cost to your quality of life. You know that your relationships suffer, the state of your quality of life suffers, your health declines, and mainly your enthusiasm starts to drop away because there's no focus on enjoying the results that you've produced. So figure this, you're not taking free time, you're not enjoying any of the results, you're working to no end, and you get into this fatigue situation. Your fatigue leads to errors, your errors lead to mistakes, and mistakes lead to cleaning things up later. It leads to, aggregately, if you go up in the helicopter, more work, more stuff you have to do later. So people who subscribe to the model, this justification idea, they tend to be very hard on themselves, they're very, very hard on others, and the anxiety and the guilt are accompanied by a sense of personal deficiency or falling short of perfectionistic ways that they have. And for these reasons, this whole justification idea isn't useful for anyone whose aim is to build a growing business and an enjoyable lifestyle at the same time. See, this show is about growing without compromising your quality of life, because you can build a business that serves your life, not consume it. Now, why is this so important? Because it's about sustainability, long term. Enthusiasm over your career has to do with sustaining it, where you could retire from the thought of retiring. So what's preferable in contrast is more of an achievement-based idea where free time comes first. It is the very first thing that you do. You're strict about it. And it's a necessity for achieving results. It's like breathing. It's not a luxury. And most of the entrepreneurs in our VIP coach program get this, and they have to discondition themselves from what they originally had thought. And that just starts by being aware and paying attention to some of their inner thinking, and that there is a superior structure, a different way to go about it, so that they can get the results that they want. Because what's tantamount, if I asked 100 entrepreneurs, what's tantamount to them is not the money, it's the freedom. And second, it's the confidence. It's the confidence that they can go after something bigger, something better, something more exciting than they've ever had, something bigger than their past. And it's the ability to earn and be free to earn at the level they want. So get this, there's this cycle, and there's a period of rested, rejuvenating free time that yields a period of high creativity, which lasts for about 2 to 3 weeks. And then during this time, there's a mind here that's really rested, and it can creatively respond to virtually any demand. And then this initial energy, it goes away, and then the mind shifts into another zone where it's just kind of on autopilot. It's handling the mechanical stuff. And then creativity starts to drop off. But then the achievement remains at a high level, particularly doing things that you've already mastered. So new challenges, they may appear more problematic. Now, when you're achieving, once you've reached the end of this sort of autopilot period, it's time to stop working and take another period of rest. And to persist in working past this point pushes you into a very reactive state of affairs. So here, problems turned into crisis. There's no creativity left to give. Your fatigue overshadows every activity. And entrepreneurs get into this reactive response orientation early. They get into it early in their careers, and then they get into a habit, and it's got them. And they never leave this. It becomes familiar, this reactive zone that's just become how business is. It becomes part of the way they just operate. But their lives become fires. They're responding to whatever is most urgent, and a lot of times it's not important. They're responding to what's most urgent. And the demands of their business just runs their life. They become prisoner of their own machine. So what if we could use this whole concept of time off as a strategic tool? And you plan it. You spend less time in the reactive area, but by using the free time, you maintain a really high level of energy, and you have this creativity and this unending toleration for stress. And then you produce better results than if you work all the time. So you work at certain times. Now, entrepreneurs find it challenging to make this mental shift. Many appreciate the idea of free time, but they never actually put it into practice for themselves. They've been thinking about it. They love the idea. That was what they got into business for in the first place, but they can't seem to get the traction. So what are the obstacles that come up? Now, obstacles are windows that you'll go through in order to take delivery of the state of affairs we're talking about. So it's important to talk about these. So The obstacles are when you're focused on your work you enjoy and you are committed to it and you like the results that you have, the free time can seem like a non-productive distraction. See, a lot of us fall in love with the business. And when that happens, it's overwhelming. And we just can't stop because we love what we're doing so much. So even if the idea of continually restoring yourself makes logical sense, your emotions can well up that get in the way of taking really good free time. And the three most common types of emotional resistance that I've seen are they get anxious, or they feel a sense of guilt, or they're just simply unclear. They're confused. So let's talk about panic. The idea of leaving the office running without you can make you panic. It really can, especially when things haven't been set up well, when you don't have the systems in place, when you don't have the people in place. Leaving the office is a total fear factor. So what I'm going to do after the break here is I'm going to come back. We're going to begin talking more about this set of obstacles and how you can get over them, how you can work with them, and eventually get yourself these benefits. So we'll be right back.
Congratulations. You've become a success in the business world. You've set goals and you've surpassed them. But now you ask yourself,
how can I muster the ambition and time to continue encouraging growth and still have time to enjoy life? Where did the excitement and ambition I once had go?
That's where we come in. High-level performance. Executive coaches that, simply put, in 3 years could help you triple your income, triple your fun, and triple your free time. Find out more at highlevelperformance.com. That's highlevelperformance.com. Highlevelperformance.com.
After a long, hard day with the global war on terrorism, open a tall, cool Kyle Warren show. That crisp, refreshing taste, that smooth style, that effervescing attitude, and without all that other stuff that can, well, bog you down. Helping to put back what the daily media assault takes away, The Kyle Warren Show, each weekday on Talk2K.com. That's The Kyle Warren Show on Talk2K.com.
Bogged down with all the stuff? Things gotten tough with all the success? Get ready for freedom with the VIP Coach. You're listening to No Hype Allowed with Executive Coach John Davidson.
All right, we're talking about taking free time here on No Hype Allowed, and as an entrepreneur, we were talking about obstacles and the idea of leaving the office, running without you. It makes you really panic. It seems like it's a reckless move to step away. There's too much to do, and things might fall apart, or an opportunity might slip by. But listen to me, while stepping away, it might seem like it would be a catastrophe. Really, you work with who you work with is so key. And it's really about how you set things up before you go. You see, the period before you leave, essentially you're lining things up for these support people so they're clear. So it really gets down to how you prepare going up to the free time. If you've noticed when you've taken a trip, look at all the things you do to ready yourself to be away. I remember when I was a kid, I had to feed the neighbor's dog, or I had to get somebody to feed my dogs. I had to handle certain things, make sure the person paid the waterman. You know, trips are a great way, like a deadline, to be very productive leading up to them. And so really look at what you're doing prior to leaving and how you set things up. You should be focusing on details, cleaning things up, making sure everybody's clear, they're being given the proper direction, they understand all the appropriate things that they're going to need to do, and you've blocked out time, what we call maintenance time, to help individuals be able to master. And we see this over a period of time, that every single time a client takes a free day period, they come back and they are really, really more effective the next time. You know, they take a whole slew of lifetime, and then here it is. The next time, the staff is that much stronger. So when you are away from your business, though, you find it easier to make decisions. I mean, I've learned that being away from my business, there's like a strategic distancing that you get. I had a client this week that was away planning some wedding plans with his fiancée. And over the period of days while he was out, he was able to come back with a whole new perspective on how to tackle the next step, how to go at his employees. He had listened to his intuition. It's almost like being in love with somebody, and everybody around you says, you're so blind, you can't see what you're doing, you can't see what they're doing. And then suddenly you step away and you're this wise sage. You suddenly can see what the heck's going on. It's very similar to your business. So breakthroughs come from the inside, and when you're away and the time and pressure and reactions are gone and you're out of that environment, you're out of the snake pit, you're not getting bit, constantly running from the dragon, you are able to rethink things. And this kind of thinking has an amazing impact on speeding things up. It's almost one of the most productive things that you can do because you see much straighter lines to get to things that you need to get to, as opposed to just operating and learning as you go. You come up with ideas, you come up with solutions, and yeah, your team's going to make mistakes while you're away. You need to give them that luxury. What they want from you is they want a challenge. They want autonomy. And what you want from them, I'm going to bet $100, you want them to be like entrepreneurs. Your number one complaint is, I wish that they would care as much about my business as much as I do. But one of the ways that you stifle that is to always be around there. Because you always take the monkey. Imagine a monkey's on your back. It's all about monkeys. And everything that goes on, they're going to take that monkey that's on their back. Oh, they're trying to get it off. And they're going to say, hey, boss, here, take the monkey. And you keep taking it, and you keep taking it. And all you're doing is you are minimizing economic adults. See, part of creating a good team is about creating economic adults around you, people that can share the burden. And by the way, one of the ways that we infantilize our team is not telling them the truth. One of the calls this week, I learned that the entrepreneur was afraid to tell the facts about where the company was, what was going on, what the numbers were. Essentially what he's doing is he's shutting down leaders. Have you ever noticed in tragedy how people come together? There's really two things that human beings do extraordinarily in a tragic situation, in a very critical emergency. One is the body releases adrenaline and they have all this amazing strength. We have this superhero chemistry that comes out. You know, people get rocks on them and they throw it off, or a car falls on them and they lift it off. And it appears that they had some special ability when it was built into our bodies. And the second thing is it's one of the greatest testing times of a team. People start coming together who don't even know each other. And this same thing, this same dynamic, although it's a different arena, but the same principles apply, can apply when you leave your team to think for the organization instead of you thinking for them all the time. And it's always about who's got the monkey. Great article, Harvard Business Review, Who's Got the Monkey. I recommend that you read it. It is a required read for our clients, all about delegation. So you got to give them the luxury of making mistakes. And it depends on how you approach them. I mean, mistakes can be a step backward, or they can provide the raw material for a new and better way of doing things. It really gets down to how you look at learning in your organization. Remember, the learner always has second chances. The performer only has one chance. So, Mr. Entrepreneur, if you feel panic at the thought of leaving the office, try taking time off gradually. Work into it proportionately. Start with just one day where you're truly out of reach and just get lost, and then build up to longer stretches as your confidence and your capabilities and you want to do it. So I urge you to just schedule one or two of those days, do it during the week, and then think about the time prior. Let everybody know. Prepare the stage for it, clean up everything, make sure the team is clear, do all your upgrades with the team, and anticipate all of those things while you're away. One of the things that we show clients is a client boomerang system, and it looks like this, that if a person is going to make a call out by you delegating to them, they're going to make a call out, they're going to handle a certain issue, and you're granting them larger authority, larger decision-making capability, more localness. What you may consider doing is giving them a piece of words like this. Let's say that they're on the phone with your client. Janet, your client, is used to speaking with you about X issue. You equip your employee to say the following. Janet, I wanted to get on the phone with you to handle that specific issue. And Janet says, no, I really want to talk to Mike about that. I'm accustomed to talking to Mike, and I know he can handle my account for me. What your employee can be trained to say is, you know, if it goes to Mike, he just is going to route that back to me anyway. So why don't we just deal with it right here? I'll save you the time, and that way you get the designated expertise in the company. That way you can empower the employee to do a verbal jujitsu, as we call it, with your team, everybody on the team begins to learn this, and with your customers, your closest customers. They are also your team because they're involved in the driving forces of the marketing engines of your company. They're involved in writing you checks. So are they the team? Well, it's something worth thinking about. Guilt. Now, a lot of people attach the virtuous side to hard work and productivity. You know, spending time that can't immediately be justified as useful leaves some feeling really guilty. So relaxation is taken away, and it's robbed of its merits when it's thought of as time off. And the very phrase suggests that time not working is empty and it's really wasteful. It's interesting to note that we don't use the phrase time on as if somehow this is our normal state of being. Now, some entrepreneurs find it difficult to leave their team behind. They have these misgivings about enjoying benefits the team don't. You've created a certain level of freedom, by the way, for yourself through the risks that you've taken to establish your business and get it to a certain level. And those freedoms belong to you, and you can choose to use them or not. But you and your team members are better served by your being fresh, by your being present, by your being confident and creative in your work. And this is a perspective that's important to get across. When you start taking time off, get your team together and start talking about your economy of means, talking about the playing field that you're on and the kind of shape that you need to be in so everyone gets served. That by the fact that you've managed your energy well and you can tolerate stress, you can be creative, everyone feels a sense of support. Who wants to deal with you when you're an ogre? Who wants to deal with you when you're a mess? Who wants to deal with you when you're stressed? You're not fun to be around anyway. So it's not even worth it. You're just a big diminishing return, a giant zero. So by taking free time and talking to your team about it, they get a better sense, a better mood about it. Now, I've had some entrepreneurs say to me, "Well, JD, this kicks something back." It's like a riptide effect. That when I do this with my team, suddenly they start doing the same thing. I'm leaving on a Wednesday, they start leaving early because it could be turkey behavior and the eagles start becoming turkeys. So it's not about you being a turkey. You're not getting away with something here. You have to convince them that this is eagle behavior. Now, I would also recommend that if you're going to do this, you might consider what life balance really does mean to your team and how you look at life balance as a key component in your organization. I mean, let's face it, we are in the year 2008. Life balance has become all the rave. The Purpose-Driven Life is the #1 book. Energy management, global medicine around energy medicine, all of these things, prana healing, laughter yoga, Rick Warren's Purpose-Driven Life. It's all about novelty and nuance. People are changing because we've lived in such an abundant society where we have more cars than people, we have more computers than people, more cell phones than people. We just have so much that utility has really fallen into significance. Significance is what makes money. Utility is no longer. We figured out how to make the fly swatter. So what does this all mean? This means that you need to be in top shape so you can authenticate yourself, you can communicate your wisdom to the audiences that pay you big for it, and you've got this team in place, and they define clearly how they balance their life as well. And you can consider that, maybe you are working your team to a level where you're taking a few steps back instead of making a couple forward. Really think about that piece. One of the entrepreneurs in our program looks at his calendar every year and starts planning all of the typical holidays for the team and finds out how many days off, holiday days off, they're going to earn, and he gets an opinion from them about which ones are most important. Would this one be great? Would this one be great? So they feel part of that balanced planning, and they can bring their plans into the room. Not that the whole organization has to accommodate the staff's needs in their free time, but at least they have a decision-making contribution to how the agency, how the company, how the firm is going to be organizing its time and how it's going to be communicating those productivity times and those off times to the audiences. And your teammates, your staff will appreciate having the opportunity to get things finished without you around. They really do. It's something you don't often see, but when you're in the office constantly innovating, always giving them ideas and projects that need to be implemented, they're focused on your needs, and they can become overwhelmed. Because when you're there, the focus is really on you. And when you're not there, the focus is really on what they need to accomplish. So you need to get your staff looking down as well as looking up. It's not always looking up. When you're there, they're looking up because they know you're around. But when you're not there, they're looking down. And oftentimes down means tactical. So if you're wondering why you're having a backlog on your team, it's because you're starting so many initiatives that they can't finish what you've got, despite the fact that you're angry with them about not finishing what they've got. And the reason is that you're constantly giving orders. So don't give those orders so much. Let them finish up what they've got by getting out of Dodge. And, getting tasks completed is really reinforcing. Having a team that feels like they're up to snuff and they're doing well is only going to reinforce doing more. Now, confusion. Being confused is full of doubt, and sometimes I see entrepreneurs, they don't know what to do with themselves when they're not at work. You hear this, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get idle. I don't know how to relax. And their identity has actually become so tied into their career that they experience free time as an uncomfortable void, like it's this escape by going back to work. And the work becomes this escape, either because their marriage is poor or their role as a father or a mother is shameful or there's something going on, and they're using work as a hideout. And work becomes this default activity. It's just reinforced by the habit. And everyone in their life is grooved around it. And you'll hear comments like, I have so much work to do. I've always got so much work to do, when really that person is creating more work to do so that they can reinforce not being in the other environments they need to be in. It's kind of sick. So not only do you have the right to take the time, but it's essential to your productivity, remember, and your full appreciation of what you have in your life. If you don't take the time, you don't look back and appreciate what you have. Free time is a way to love yourself, to recognize what you've done. And, I've realized that even balancing my own stuff, it really takes work. It takes a lot of commitment. It's a skill to try to bring everything together, to try to make it all work. And the adventure of it is its own reward. So the more experiences you enjoy outside the work, the broader and more inventive in your thinking will be. For example, I know an entrepreneur, she loves to travel, and every time she goes on these trips, she brings back these enormous perspectives about how we relate to time, about how people interact, about how we enjoy, how we look at work. And I think that sharpens the saw of her team. So make sure that your plan allows you to really get away and completely disengage from your business. That's an absolute key. And I'm going to ask you to commit to making lifetime a daily, weekly, monthly habit. And that means that you're conscious and mindful, and the most rejuvenating time is time that you're taking completely away from the business. It's a 24-hour period. It's midnight to midnight. There's no phone calls, no homework, no emails, no work-related thinking or activity at all. If you haven't had a day like this in a while, give yourself the day. It's a great reward. Have a great week, everybody. It was great to be on the show with you. Again, no hype allowed. You can look at our VIP coach program if you like the concept we talked about, lifetime, and you feel that there are other dimensions outside work. You notice that there are some areas of your marriage you want to work on, or there's other parts of you that you're not getting to. Maybe there's a hobby you haven't been at in a while. You don't need to suffer anymore. Okay? You just don't have to do that, because you've been given the ability, you've been given the creative freedom, and you've been given the ability to make a fundamental choice to be the predominant creative force in your life. And this is what we start with at the VIP Coach Program. We are at 714-375-6624. Find us online at highlevelperformance.com. And if you've missed any of our shows at No Hype Allowed, you can go get us online at nohypeallowed.com. Please subscribe to our podcast. We are here weekly. We're putting out all the right stuff to help you maximize your growth in business and really realize the quality of life you want as a lifestyle entrepreneur. Have a great week.
Overwhelmed? Can't get to anything you planned?
Has the thrill ride of too much gotten ahead of you?
Get back that confidence with the VIP Coach. No Hype Allowed.